Okay, the last question. Okay, if the question like tutorial 1, okay, this one I think is not related to this week materials, but that does not matter. That doesn't matter because again, this feedback you can ask as well any material that the past material or the past or the previous lecture that you don't understand, you still can ask again because if you are not sure. So if the questions like in tutorial 1, it asks us the result of logical operation true or false, we cannot write 1 for true, 0 for false. We need to write it like true instead. And also, doctor, can we do a few example of flowchart solving together in the video because I'm a beginner? A few example flowchart. Okay, we explain the first part first. This one, I think the user or I'm sorry, the student asked something related to this one. Um, I think we can write. Okay, we can write 1 represent true, 0 represent false. Okay, so is it because of this one? Okay, what is the result for logical operator where the statement is true or false? So this one is you just put the logical operator that resulting true and the logical operator that's resulting false. But the question is not that. The question is asking about whether you can use 1 and 0 to represent true and false or not. Actually, the answer is yes. Okay. So the answer is yes. Okay, but the as for the given online compiler, there's a little bit things you need to know because I also face the problems when I want to use the logical operation, because in general the variables that store the output of logical operation, in general we give the type. Okay, the type of variable is as a booleans. Okay, instead of integer or floating, we are declaring as a booleans. So but if you are, when you try to run this something like this, you will get errors. Okay, but I just find out the what's problem with this compiler. Okay, of course, different C compiler have different, maybe have a little bit different things. Okay, one of it, that problem with this compiler, when you are declaring some variables a and b as a boolean, it does not recognize this boolean. Okay, after I do some searching, I find out, okay, this actually these variables or this built-in format bools is under this library. Okay, so in order for you to use this bool type, you need to include this library. Okay, standard boolean. Okay, if you don't include this one, okay, previously I don't include this one, if I run this code and then you get some errors that use undeclared identifier bool. Okay, it's not recognize this bool, so that's why you need to include with this include with std standard bools.h, then you can use it. Okay, I just show that. Okay, the original code is like this: trues and false. Okay, so a is a true, b is false, and then if true and with the false, you get false. So that's why this statement is not true. That's why printf here is not display here. You only see the condition number 9, number 2 here, because when this is true, this is false, the statement is true. So if true, then display this one, so the condition 2 is true. So then I change this one, instead of true and false, I replace it with 1 and false, I replace it with 0, and when I execute, I will get the same result there. So meaning that 1 and 0 can represent the true and false. Okay, okay, let's discuss about this example. Okay, I believe this one is in your tutorials. Okay, write a pseudocode or flowchart for a program that would compute and print sum of all integers between 1 and 10. But I just show how to do it using flowchart. Okay, in order for do this, okay, again, if you understand the problems there, we want to to have some repetition control structure, okay, to increase the number from 1 to 10, and at the same time you must sum of the all, you must total up all the integers. Okay, if we try to revise back the repetitive control structure that you need to use is, which is something something like this. So the conditions there, you must put the condition must below. Okay, you just imagine that we want to generate numbers from 1 to 10, meaning that we must start with 1, and then the numbers is click increase. At this statement you must increase the that numbers. Okay, of course you need to store that numbers in some variables, integer variables, and then the condition will be checked whether that number is more than 10 or not. Once is more than 10, you need to, before you end up your program through here, you need to print the total numbers there. Okay, the total, or this the total up, you must print the result, the final result of total up between 1 to 10. Of course the operation of total up is at this part. I forget to mention, instead of you just increase the numbers from 1 to 10, you must also add up that numbers, so it will total up that number from 1 to 10. So okay, then you must start with, sorry, you start with that is the begin or start. Okay, you start there, and then you will have of course you must have the operation block there, square or rectangles. So then you put there as your what just put x lah, x, you set your x equal to 1, and then of course in this example we assume we don't want to use a scanf, so that's why we don't have any trapezoid there or printf there. But the final output, because the question said that we need to print the final result by printf. Okay, the question is mentioned that, so that's why the final result you must do the printf. So that's why you need to design, or you need to put a trapezoid at the end of your programs. Okay, yeah, because the question said print the sum of all integers between 1 to 10. So the words that print, okay, again you need to remember that, try to find the important keyword. For example, this one, print. So when the question asks when the questions use the word print, that show that the final result here you must use a trapezoid that represent printf. Okay, and you can see in this question that the question does not mention where is these numbers come from. Okay, let's say it's mentioned that write a pseudocode or flowchart where the user need to key in the numbers, or to the flowchart will read the key in data from the user, then you need to use the trapezoid represent the input. But this question only have output. Okay, so that's why in my block here I don't start with any trapezoid, I just start directly with my process. So I just declare, assume this is my integer x equal to 1, and then and then you can directly put the diamonds there, represent the condition, repetition, control structures. Is my x is less or equal 10? So if yes, what you need to do, then you must execute the equation or the increment things, okay, x. But before that you need to okay, before that actually you need to also declare another variable that will store the totals, okay, the totals there. So the total I just declare, I call it sum equal to 0. So and then in these things we just sum equal to sum plus x, okay. Just assume that this rectangle is extended, and then of course you need to do some x increment operation, x equal x plus 1, and then once you when you do some increments there, it will go back, okay, the lines will go back to this part. So now if the x is still not less than or equal 10, it will execute this instruction, okay. But if the x is more than 10, then before you end, you must print sum, because that is the question asked. You must print the sum, the totals after you total up all from 1 to 10, and then you end up with your code by put the oval there represent n, okay. So it's how it's work. So x set equal to 1, sum equal to 0. If x less or equal 1, if yes, this is no, yes, then you sum up your sum equal to sum plus x, and then x is equal to x plus 1, and then you will keep repeat until x more than 10. 1 is more than 10, then it will go into this direction. You will print sum, okay. This is a trapezoid, represent the printf before you end up your code. So I hope by discussing these examples you can clear about it, okay. Please remember all the keywords there, okay, not just this one, okay. We can also see others example as well, but I will not discuss the flowchart. I just want you to understand how to understand the keyword inside the examples there. Yep, like this one, the unit of blah blah blah, and then for example domestic, and then this one they just want you to calculate the electricity usage, okay. And then you can see there a bill statement need to be print out, so means that at the end you must print something. So you need to use a trapezoid to print something, but of course used by the customer. And in this question still at the input part, it's not mentioned where is this value come from, okay. But by default, if the question does not mention where this value come from, you can directly use a rectangle to represent that, okay. Rate equal to monthly rate equal to 21.8. Use the rectangles, and then to first unit, okay, you put just x equal 200 unit, for example, x equal to 200 by using the rectangles. You don't have to use a trapezoid, because if you are using a trapezoid, if the question said this value is keyed in by the user, or the algorithm is obtain this value from the user or reading from the user, so then you need to use a trapezoid to represent scanf. But this question is just a process, and at the end you need to print the result. So that's why you must start with the ovals there, and then you will use a lot of rectangle and diamond, and finalize with trapezoid to print the result. There's no trapezoid at this time because the question does not mention where this value come from. Okay, what else? Okay, this one you have a scanf because the question asks you to develop a flowchart diagram, but this flowchart come from the pseudocode, and in this pseudocode, okay, there's a read birds here. Okay, read birds here is it's represent by trapezoid, or in C it's a scanf. So that's why you don't have you need to put the trapezoid, because it's a read from the outside. The program read from the outside, read a bird here from the outside. We just assume that birds here is come from the user, where the user key in through the black screen there. How about this one? Okay, write a program to calculate the BMI of 8 person, blah 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 blah. Okay, this one there's no printf, there's no scanf as well. It means that you just have a oval, rectangle, and diamond to represent the if else. Again, the process all these rectangles, and you end up with oval, which is represent the end of the code. Okay, end of the algorithm, because the question does not mention whether the result need to be print or not. So that's why no trapezoid at the end, no trapezoid at the beginning. Yep, I think I hope that you clear about that. Okay, so again, like this example, you cannot avoid doing the trapezoid at the beginning, because the pseudocode is also have the read edge there. Okay. Yeah, you can see that in certain example there's no trapezoid at all, because the question don't ask about to read the value from some outside source, as well as some other source, or user key in input. There's no statement on that, or it does not mention about to print the final result. So means that no trapezoid at all, and you just showing the process by have some oval to represent the begin, rectangle to represent the process, diamond to represent the selection control structure, either repetition control structure or selective control structure, and then you end up with the ovals represent the end.